Hello and welcome to the Grove podcast. My name is Moz, your host, and before we get into episode 3, I just wanted to apologise. We hit some technical difficulties tonight, which means part 2, the sound quality isn't great, but we're working hard to make things right for the next episode. So without further ado, I'm going to play episode 3. I hope you enjoy it and see you soon. Hello and welcome to episode 3 of the Grove podcast. I hope you're all well. My name is Moz. It's not changed, still the same. And today I am joined by our, should we call you residents now? You get resident DJs. We've got resident podcasters, Andrea
Good evening. How are you doing?
and Whale.
Good day, gentlemen.
Oh God, I was hoping he wasn't going to do that again, Andrea. But fine, okay, we'll let him off.
Gotta give the people what they want, man. I've had requests.
There we go.
Yeah, true. Okay. We're also joined by a member of the Grove who has been messaging me daily to come onto this show, right? Since the podcast was created, this guy has been begging. And I thought, do you know what? Let's bring him on, see what he's got to offer. So I'd like to introduce you to Paul. How are you?
Thanks for the warm welcome. Hello to everybody listening at home. It's great to finally be here and to be sharing the floor with my 3 dance partners.
Welcome, Paul. Welcome.
Thank you. Good to have
Thanks
you.
for having me, guys.
So before we get into the Forest review, I have a confession to make. I have been away for work all week and didn't watch the game. This is the first game I've not watched for a long time. I've not watched highlights apart from the 2 goals that we scored. I didn't even know that we won 2-1 until the next morning. That's how busy I've been. So I won't be able to talk about the game at all with you guys. I'm going to let you guys just essentially tell me about the game, right? So that's what we're going to do. But before that, I just wanted to say a massive thank you to all the listeners for the reaction to episode 2. We have shared it far and wide. We have sent the links out. I plugged the pod about 10 times last episode, so it did work. It did work. So expect that again this time. But no, just a serious thank you to everyone for listening, for sharing, for liking, for commenting, for reposting. It really means a lot that people actually want to listen and find value. And please keep sending us feedback, keep sending us the comments, the love, and yeah, let's take it away. At the end, I'm going to go through some feedback, so don't want to miss it. But yeah, Andrea, I'm going to start with you. Talk to me, Forest.
And my highlights and my lowlights. Yeah, sure. Look, to be honest, just being at an away match, I was very fortunate enough to get to go to the game with Wales. So actually, my highlight was just being in the away end with the away fans. They're like hen's teeth, these things and stuff like that. So that was great. So just being there was my a big highlight. The actual favorite moment of the match was actually Leo at the end. When we're 2-1 up under pressure, and the way he got the ball, ran down the flank, kept it brilliantly, and then he turned inside, kept possession, and relieved the pressure really well. It was really mature, really composed, and I really like that because it was tense. It was tense, I can admit. So that was a really cool piece of play that not many people in the team have the composure to do. In terms of lowlights, at about 70 minutes, the Olays rang out. We were 2-0 up, and they started, and the Olays are going, and I'm all for enjoying the game and finding the joy. But when it's 70 minutes and 2-0 up, with our propensity to shoot ourselves in the foot, I just knew, you just know what's gonna happen, and which we did, shoot ourselves in the foot. I even said to the guy next to me, because Forest fans were leaving at about 80 minutes, have they not seen Arsenal play before? Have you not seen the fact that we're going to let in a goal and wet the bed and and so on. So yeah, those are my highlights and lowlights of the match.
What about yourself, Whale? What was your highlight and lowlight of the game?
Yeah, similar to Tabs. It was just going to an away game for the first time in forever. Really, really enjoyed it. I want to give a shout out to the subreddit Gunners at Games, especially Josh and Ed, who essentially made it happen and were able to facilitate us getting these 6 tickets to go see the Arsenal away. So that was awesome. Low light, yeah, giving up that last goal and then having it be, as Alex Ferguson had coined, squeaky bum time for like the last like 10 minutes, just not knowing what's going to happen, just waiting for it to go 2-all and dropping those 2 points. So yeah, was really happy to be there. Low light was giving up that goal, but we pulled through at the end, and it was happy days.
Paul, you weren't at the
Yes.
game, right? You watched on TV, so
Yeah, so I watched from home, and I mean, to be honest with you, it's a game really that a win by any means necessary was sort of needed. So in terms of probably the highlight of the game was really to see Emil Smith Rowe starting in the team for the first time for a while, which is well overdue and probably well deserved. And also, I think that doubled up with the fact that maybe Havertz needed a rest. It was a good time to bring him into the team. So obviously to see our number 10 back in the team, that was really positive. In terms of lowlights, obviously we have really struggled against teams with a low block, and the first half particularly things slowed up, and we're struggling to sort of understand that conundrum and how to sort of break away from it and find those gaps. So that's something that in the future for the rest of the season I'd like to see improve.
so in terms of, as Whale you just alluded to, the Grove, the group we managed to get 6 tickets for the game. Unfortunately, I was not one of them due to my commitments. How dare I work when Arsenal are playing, right? I'm going to actually speak to my boss about that and see if I can get some time off every time we play. That go down well. Um, I just want to echo your comments and give a shout out to the guys that helped facilitate that, because last minute getting 6 Grovers up to Nottingham is not an easy task. And fair play to you guys for making the journey as well. Like, it was watching it on the WhatsApp group just unravel was one of the best things I've seen in a long time. It was like, we might have 6 tickets, and then it was like, right, I need 5 other names.
Yeah,
Who's in? And
no.
just a flood of comments coming in and trying to figure out who was first and doing VAR checks for like the timestamp of the WhatsApp messages, essentially. So yeah, fair play. Andrea told me that there was a little bit of a last week I said it was a heated debate, right? And I had a comment from one of my friends, Fraser. I'm going to give him a shout out. Fraser is a great guy. I had a comment from Fraser saying, "You said heated, and they were pretty calm." But Andrea told me it was still continuing on the journey up. But I've had a lot of feedback from friends and listeners of the pod, and a lot of people agree with Whale, which is just wrong, but
Well,
it's
well,
crazy. So
we,
why were you guys still doing this on the way up? It's done. Move on. The Carabao Cup is not anything worth winning, right? So talk to me. Why are you guys friends now, or are you
well,
still?
yeah,
You
yeah,
haven't
we
said
definitely. I
you
mean,
haven't said hello to each other today.
we had some time to kill, and I mean, since the people rightly believe I'm right, we'll let Pab start off and sort of defend his position and just explain it a little bit.
Sure. I mean, to be honest, I wasn't sure if I was going to mention the low light was having to drive up with Whale on the way up. So it's like,
Easy.
no, it was an absolute joy and pleasure, and it was actually a highlight. Yeah, as you said, yeah, we're just chatting. He comes out, talking about the quad, talking about, yeah, you just continue. We wanted to express it in more, maybe so. Terms that we couldn't use on the pod and stuff like that, and express it a bit differently. So it was cool. What I found funny was that as soon as we walked into the away end, the first thing we saw was a sign for Forest winning the League Cup in whenever it was, whenever they were relevant. So
1990 wasn't
yeah,
that long ago, man. 1990.
so I thought that was quite ironic. So we just and we discussed many other things that we didn't agree on, but it was cool. It was cool. And in terms of the Grove away day, and again another shout out to our fellow Grovers who went. So there was Aussie Tom, Charles, Rahima, and Catherine. So it was great to go out with them and meet up with them.
And
What
Charles, I don't think you mentioned her. Who
Yeah,
won?
yeah, and Shah. So, what I found interesting was going. The vibe was, it was weird. I forgot. I kept on forgetting I was at an away game, so it was a bit same but different. And there was excitement about the unknown and unfamiliar. But when I was inside the stadium, I was thinking, well, why aren't they saying anything about Arsenal? And why isn't any videos about Arsenal? Oh no, we're at Nottingham. So why would they? You know, it was a bit bizarre, but it was, yeah, the atmosphere was great. Is, singing, constantly throughout. I was hoarse by by the next day. But yeah, no, that was cool. So that was cool. I mean, well, how did you feel sort of it then played out through the match in terms of the atmosphere and how the crowd were sort of feeling throughout the game?
Yeah, I mean, I read through our group chats apparently that the atmosphere came over well on the television, and obviously, I think Paulo will touch on that in a bit. But it was just a lot different than being at the Emirates, obviously, because there was, I think, 2,500 of us there, raucous fans, and it's just sort of like us against the world. Really, really enjoyed it. I mean, I'll be honest, I'm not singing 24/7 when I'm at the Emirates, but in that game, you just sort of get caught up in the moments. The goals are scored. It was a really good time, man. I could see why it's a closed shop and people aren't really trying to give up their away tickets.
Mm.
It's just a great experience, and I can only imagine when you're playing, whether it be City, Liverpool, like a big six sort of team with high stakes, just how much more that gets magnified. So it was an awesome time, with with a great group of guys and gals. So really enjoyed it. Be looking to do it again.
Yeah, no, no. And in terms of how the game sort of was playing out, what I could sense, I don't know, the frustration. I know, I don't know if it was more or less. I don't know. You could hear more. I don't know. It just, I could notice that it was, the crowd were very tense. They were frustrated with the way that we were playing. Maybe it was because the perspective we had. We were sort of lowish down, halfway up, and some of the perspective you couldn't see exactly what was going on. So it felt like times where we could be shooting and we didn't, or there were things not happening, or we could be driving in certain ways, and maybe from TV it would look different. When I look back on TV, I said, oh, no, I can understand why certain play played out, but when you were there, you sort of maybe having that view made everyone a bit more tense and a bit more nervous in terms of the way we were playing. Up until we got the goals, I felt it was maybe a bit more tense than it would be, sort of at the atmosphere, and I think it was more of a unit as well than at the atmosphere. But I think you touched on it, there was like, but when the goals go in, there's that term that the
Oh
youth
yeah,
of today use. It was limbs. It was just like arms. I don't know who I was jumping on, but there was
yeah,
some
yeah, man.
guy next to me that felt the full
It,
force of Tabs.
it,
So,
it wasn't Whale you were jumping on because you guys had fallen out by this point,
yeah,
right?
no,
So
we
were you
we
separated?
We're
we
on
were
opposite ends.
there were four people between us, so it was fine. It wouldn't have been too much of an imagination for me to go and jump onto him after we scored the first and second goal. So that was cool. Really enjoyed that.
And
Yeah.
in terms of how we played, I just want Paul. I'll let you come in since you watched on
Mm.
TV. I just want to know how we played. And you mentioned that Emil Smith Rowe started. I didn't. I
Mm.
must admit. I promise you guys, I do support Arsenal, and I love the club. Um, but I didn't see that Emil Smith Rowe had started until after when I looked at the result. So yeah, I just want to know, how did we play? How did Smith Rowe play? And Martinelli obviously started as well. How was that? Because we know Trossard has,
Yeah,
has dabbled.
I think there was probably some debate before the game whether or not this was probably an ideal fixture for someone with Martinelli. We kind of expected that low block, but in actual fact, I think we started the game pretty well. I'm not sure how it was at the City ground, but watching it from TV, it looked like we were knocking the ball around quite nice for the first 10, 15. We were pressing quite high up, and we kind of looked like we would get the breakthrough earlier on. But after about 10, 15 minutes, the game suddenly fell back into a pattern, and that low block was evident. In terms of ESR, I thought he started the game brightly. He was working that left channel quite nicely with Martinelli, and he was picking up nice spaces. He was sort of playing on the shoulder of the last defender, sort of tucked in quite nicely with Jesus. But obviously, as the game progressed, we were finding it harder and harder. And I think probably this was an ideal fixture for him to come in. I mean, every game is must win at this stage. But I think, for ESR being out for the time that he's had to come in and start a game, I think this was probably the right moment for him. I think he had 65 minutes, and overall, I think he put in a good performance. He looked a bit tired toward the end, but that's to be expected. So yeah, I think we played well for that first 15 minutes, and then obviously the pattern of the game. Forest were quite happy to sort of sit behind the ball, very disciplined. So yeah.
But in terms of Smith Rowe, though, again, if you're not going to start him in this game, he won't start against Liverpool. Okay, I'll be really shocked if he did. So if we're going to rely on him on the end of the season, and we need to give him meaningful minutes, today was Monday. God, I can't remember what day of the week it is now, but Monday is the night to do it. Otherwise, again, it's feeding off late minutes, either trying to chase a game or the game's done. So I think this was the opportune moment to give him meaningful minutes, because I'd be really surprised if he started at the weekend.
We played on Tuesday, right? Not Monday.
Sorry, Tuesday. Yeah,
Tuesday, yeah.
We are Arsenal. We are Arsenal fans. We're just yeah. I don't know. We'll blame it on the upcoming fixture, right? The nerves.
Yeah.
Whale, I just want to ask you your opinion of being at the game, and I want you to give me like a couple of minutes rundown on how the game panned out, first half, second half, for someone who, like myself, obviously, who has not watched the game back yet. Just tell me how it went, first half, second half, and I'll tell you at the end if it's just like a standard Arsenal game. Because I'm the one that said it was going to be a drubbing last week, and it sounds like it wasn't. So, yeah, tell me.
I mean, I guess first off, the first half, Arsenal are shooting or going away from the away end. So it's tough to really sort of keep track of all the action that was going on down at the opposite end of the goal, because it's sort of far away and like your pitch level. But it seemed to be, in my opinion, sort of typical Arsenal. I mean, there was lots of possession. You're looking at it and you're like, oh yeah, we're the better team. We're the better team, but we're not scoring any goals. So I mean, you don't get any points from holding on to the ball. I know people love field tilt, but if field tilt doesn't result in goals, field tilt doesn't mean anything. We had some shots on target. ESR made some nice little runs on goal, more than what I've seen Havertz do lately, which I liked. There was one where ESR sort of linked up with Odie, and then also Jesus, which I believe was that shot that went off the post. Side note, Jesus should be making that shot, but whatever. We'll talk about that later. It seemed that it was a typical first half. Like, I went in the first half looking to get a beer and thinking we need to step it up a bit. Otherwise, this could easily be a 0-0 draw, or they could nick it at the end and we lose 0-1. I mean, a few stats that we've sort of got here. I mean, let's see here. One big chance. We need more than that when we're playing a team at the bottom of the table. Like, you just do. I appreciate how they play is to stop us from playing, but that's not new. Teams started doing that about a year ago against us. So we should be better at breaking it down. What else we got? I mean, that's about it. It seemed, first half seemed very, very typical. And to be fair, so did the second half. I was just happy that we got out of there with 3 points.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you, Whale, and yeah, you don't knock it. We've lost there. Was it the last 3 times?
Yeah.
You take the points, you take it, you get out. If we get the points, whatever. I mean, yeah, you're right. I think we were dominant. I think I said it was an atypical game for us. We dominate, we get frustrated, we're a bit ponderous. There's some good play, we score goals, and then we have a nervy ending. We've seen that. How many times have we seen that script? And it too many times for our heart, for our health. So. Then the first half, you're right. I think it was a bit ponderous, but I think from about the 35th minute, we started to speed things up a bit more direct, which then followed through into the second half, and we started to be a bit more. Again, with our possession, I think we started to be a bit snappier, be quicker, more decisive, and you could see that there was results, chances, maybe not big chances, but we started to break them down. And I think for me, it was a game for patience. Now players, thankfully, are more patient than the fans, because if it was down to the fans, we'd just shoot on sight. Whereas they're trained to be a bit more patient, and you could tell that, okay, it's going to come, it's going to come. To play that way Forest did for the whole game, there's going to be lapses of concentration, and we need to be ready to take advantage of those lapses as we did, especially for the first goal, when they weren't set and bang, we go. But so yeah, that, I mean, for me, that's how I felt it played out. Just say patience, um, keep doing what you're doing, speed things up a bit, and then you'll get the rewards. And I think we did.
So it sounds like it was a pretty dominant performance, but not clinical, um, essentially. And that's a worry before the Liverpool game, because I did watch the Liverpool game yesterday. I was actually in Liverpool for work, so everywhere I went, the game was on. That's the first time. Excuse me. Just a side note on that. Just whilst I'm talking about it, that's the first time I've been somewhere in a long time, a different city or a town that the team is playing in, and I'm not part of it. So Liverpool were playing Chelsea, right? And it was so weird to just see these Liverpool fans thinking that they're going to win the lot. And oh, if I talk more about it, I'll get annoyed. So I just want to talk about the goals now that Arsenal scored and the one that we conceded. So yeah, Whale, Andrea, I would like your guys' opinion on it from being there, that kind of perspective. So yeah,
Yeah,
talk to me. Tell me about the goals.
talking about the goal sort of works really well with what you've last said about it being a dominant performance. I would say perhaps it wasn't. That that first goal, that Jesus goal, luck. Are you kidding me? Did you see that angle? That dude, that shot doesn't go in 99 times out of 100. Like the fact that it's such a bad keeper and it just contorted his legs so badly. Like if your keeper gets beat on that goal, you are furious. Like I see Tabs making faces or whatever. Like you don't get beat on that angle was an insane angle, insane, and it went between his legs.
I,
Horrible
I'm
goal.
gonna I'm gonna respectfully disagree, because as a striker, there's two things. One, actually, you're sometimes you actually are taught to actually, if there's the gap there through the legs, you are taught to aim for that left, or low to the
The gap
goalkeeper's
isn't
feet.
there.
No, no,
Before
let me finish. Low to the goalkeeper's feet, because it's the hardest place for the goalkeeper to actually get down to get it. And for me, I'm thinking he's seen the opportunity. So yes, maybe Turner. I don't know, his stance, maybe his legs can be closer together. But I would say luck. I would say it was actually, and before it, I think very quick thinking by Zinchenko to get the throw, because Forrest is switched off. Jesus went into a great place. Nice control turn going in there, and maybe he takes the goalkeeper by surprise. So there's elements of luck in all goals, but I wouldn't be so harsh on it to say it was a lucky goal, because he made it. He takes the shot, and if you don't buy a ticket, you're not going to win the lottery, as they say. So I think Turner, you expect him to do better, but as a striker, he did exactly what he was meant to do.
Can I just say one thing very quickly? Next week, or not even next week, this week on Sunday we play Liverpool, right? And the podcast is being recorded in person for you guys. You guys asked for it, so we're going to give you it. The podcast is being recorded in person. My worry is that you two are going to be in the same room together. So, do I need to bring a bodyguard, or keep you guys? Do we do it in separate rooms, and you have your own little booth, or
we'll
what?
just remind Tabs that the general public is on my side, so he'll just have to tone it down a little bit with his positivity.
So, Paul, right, second goal. Talk to me. Tell me your thoughts and explain it.
Yeah, so obviously a good breakaway goal. There's Saka on his right foot. Really, apart from the Everton goal, was never sort of a given. Um, you know, Jesus doing Jesus things. I thought he had a great second half. Obviously, put that goal away. There's been some debate whether or not, but I agree with Andre. You've got to have a ticket. And yeah, I think it was a nice breakaway. Obviously, come from a poor pass from one of the Forest defenders. We pounced on it quickly, got up the field nice and quick, moved the ball quickly into Saka, and that's what you kind of want to see from Bukayo. You want it to sort of see him hitting the ball first time, not really thinking about it too much. Last couple of weeks, maybe he's been overplaying it a little bit. He's always looking to cut back on the left foot. So I think it was a perfect finish to a really good move.
Yeah, I think it showed how we were progressing through the game. We were more clinical and we were faster. So it was a typical example of the progression of maybe what we weren't doing in the first half. Granted, we had the space to do it, but the fact that we were making quick decisions and the right decision was key to that goal. And even off the ball, even there was a clever run by Havertz, which sort of stopped the defender going towards the ball or making a play at the ball when Jesus passed it. So again, even off the ball, we were making good decisions in that on that goal, which often gets missed. So I think it was pretty much like a really good, perfect breakaway goal, and yeah, lovely for Saka. I want to see him shoot more on his right foot because he can score with it. So yeah.
And Whale, I watched the highlights, right, and I seen the chances, or lack of chances Nottingham Forest had. So I'm assuming that their goal they scored was what, first, second, third chance of the match.
Yeah, I think it was about that. What really and again, I'll just come on and say it was like Groundhog's Day for anybody who's familiar with a great movie by Bill Murray. Diagonal pass over Zinni, and this normally doesn't happen, but Saliba's at fault for that. He does some wild sort of flailing to try to get ahead on it. In the same time, in doing that, almost boxes out Big Gabby, so he's sort of thrown off a little bit. And then there's a little bit of luck, which we'll take with the Forest player. Like he got a leg on it. And he got it in there. And yeah, I mean, I'm always going to say I expect keepers to make saves, but we shouldn't put our keeper in that situation. I mean, these diagonal passes over Zinni's head, he is constantly out of position, so much so to the point where it's like, is he not in position? Is he where he's supposed to be, or is he just so not a defensive-minded player that he just floats around wherever he feels like it?
And I agree with you. Whereas you won't hear that off. Yeah. No, in terms of the goal, I think with Zinchenko, I think he gets the 75 minutes and his defensive brain comes off, because if you look at his stats, up to then, normally he's very good with the duels, defensively he does well, but I think after a certain time, switch off. And I think what's happened is now as well, where his positioning was, it's now uncertain, because he should have pushed up with the line, but he didn't, because he's now half thinking about the player behind him, and he doesn't want to get caught out like he did against Salah in the away game against Liverpool. So all of a sudden he's second guessing himself, and then his fellow defenders are having to second guess him, and so therefore that creates uncertainty in the back line, which then is a surefire way to lead to goals, because then then Saliba's maybe now go, oh crumbs, I need to make a quick move to get back to get into Iwamyi, and it's just all these sort of micro elements all add up to the bigger issue. Even back to the crossfield pass, Eddie typically he could have tried harder to get in the way of the crossfield pass. Instead, he did a typical Eddie coming on a sub sort of thing, saunters over and sort of half-heartedly tries to get in the way. So I think it was a culmination of errors, and there's always an explanation as to why. But yeah, that sort of thing needs to sharpen up.
I'm going to go down in order of who's on my screen, and I want one word. Should I watch the full 90 minutes back, Paul? Yes or no?
I mean, a win's a win.
One
so
word.
Yeah.
One word.
No.
Tabs.
Unnecessary. There you go.
I did say yes or no, but
no.
I'll let you off.
No.
Whale.
No.
Okay, good. You've saved me 90 minutes then. We'll be back very shortly for part 2 of the Grove podcast.
City Arsenal 1-0. 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 City Arsenal 1-0.
and welcome back to part 2 of the Grove podcast. Now, I mentioned in part 1 that we are recording the Liverpool post-game podcast in person. And during the break, Andrea and Whale have settled their differences. They actually made each other laugh. And it was so heartwarming for me and Paul to see that. So I just want the listeners to know that they are both back and they're happy again. We're not going to mention any trophies that don't mean anything. And we all know that Whale is currently leading in the general consensus from the fans. On the Spotify, if you're listening to this on Spotify, you can click on the episode, and underneath the description, there will be a poll. The answers to the poll will be simple. It will be 2 names. Click your answer to see who's right and who's wrong, and we'll do this properly. But without further ado, let's head into part 2 of the pod. So, one of the biggest games of our season, arguably, right? I'm going to give you guys my 30-second thoughts, and then I'll come to you. Biggest game of the season. If we lose, we will be 8 points behind Liverpool. I don't think that is anywhere near salvageable for if we want to win the league this year. This is a must-win. This is what they call a 6-pointer in the relegation zone. Not that we would ever be in the relegation zone, right? But this is our 6-pointer. So I am nervous. I am bricking it, as they say. But I just wanted to come to you guys. So, Andrea, what are you looking forward to, and also not looking forward to in the game against Liverpool?
Okay, well, actually, the most you alluded to it before. The most thing I'm looking forward to is recording the podcast with Whale after the game in person. I can't wait to give him a big hug and have some fun. Look, joking aside, I'm really looking forward to the game. I'm buzzing for it. I'm excited. I'm confident. I mean, in a way, I'm more confident for this game than Forest. You know, I'm going to be in the clock end with my son, and I'm confident in. So I'm just looking forward to it happening, and I'm keeping the negative thoughts at bay for now.
And what about yourself, Paul?
Yeah, I mean, obviously the last 2 games, having a draw at Anfield and losing in the last 10 minutes at home in the FA Cup, obviously it's finally getting a win this season against Liverpool. You know, they seem to be the force this season. I think, you know, like you say, with a 6-pointer, I think it's a must-win game in terms of our season and the importance of the game. Not looking forward to potentially. I saw that Klopp was sort of umming and ahhing whether or not he would be fit. Actually, I think he came out and said that he wouldn't be fit for this game for the next 2 fixtures. And then I saw something on social media, and he's back on the grass, looking like he's ready to play. So I think this is a big one for us. I think whether or not he starts the game could shift it, whether or not we take the win or the loss. So yeah.
Just before I come to you, Whale, Liverpool won 4-1 without Salah against Chelsea. I know it's Chelsea, but Liverpool won 4-1. And Jurian Timber is back on the grass as well. So that could mean nothing. I'm sure we'll have a chat about injuries and whatnot later on, but that could mean nothing. So don't worry, Paul. Smile. Come on. Give us a smile. There you go. Okay,
I'm really intrigued to see what grass they're on. Just out of interest, yeah.
Very wet, slippery grass, obviously.
That's
what about
where
you?
I was going.
What are you looking forward to or not looking forward to in the upcoming game?
Yeah, it's a big game. To sort of piggyback on what you said earlier. It's one of those. I mean, we can't win the league on Sunday, but I don't like to say it, but we can kind of lose it. So we got to go for 3 points. I mean, I like the fact that Liverpool is going to play open, so we'll have a chance to go up and down. I don't expect to see Salah playing. I don't. Yeah, he's on grass, but I don't think he's ready to be back. That doesn't necessarily bother me. Just looking forward to a good game. I'll be in section 113, so come holler at your boy, guys. I'm there.
I'm going to be in block 12 because I'm looking really forward to hugging Saka when he scores and essentially just celebrating with the players. And I might take a sign that says, "Declan, can I please have your..." No, I'm not going to do that. I'm 30 years old. I won't do that. The Grove want you guys on the pod. That could be a shout. So in terms of how we will play and approach the game, I'm at a loss with how, you know, we've played against Liverpool in the FA Cup, and I thought we deserved to win that game so well. I mean, we had so many chances, and we were so good, so dominant. We just couldn't finish a dinner that night. I really think that we will play similarly. And I said this about Forest. I said it was going to be a drubbing. I don't think it'll be a drubbing against Liverpool, but I am pretty confident that we will perform well enough to get the 3 points on the weekend. I think Liverpool are a very good team, but I just think we've won the last two games. We're kind of heading into that period now where we're confident the players are gel. Well, some of the players are gelling together. Andrea, I'll let you mention potentially an issue you've seen on Tuesday night. But yeah, how do you think we will approach the game? How do you think we'll play?
Yeah, look, to be honest, we're not going to be facing the lowest blocks, that we've seen. Like, Nottingham Forest, it was the lowest block you'll ever get. So the good thing about playing Liverpool that they will give you space. However, the counterpoint is that they're going to be attacking us, and we're going to be doing more defending that we used to. So this is why I think it's more of a game for Martinelli. I thought actually the Forest game was more of a Trossard game because it was tight, small spaces, and less space behind the back. So I think this is more of a chance for for Martinelli to come on. He loves playing against Trent Alexander-Arnold. He takes him to town every time they play. So that's part of the reason why I'm positive. So our approach, we'll try and dominate. We'll try and hit wide. We just need to be quick, decisive, fast, and exploit those spaces and just be wary at the back. This is the sort of game, in a way you'd love to have Tomiyasu, because I think Arteta would like that to counter some of the height and what they do rather than Zinchenko, or have Partey there. So yeah, that's how I think we're going to approach it. But that's also one of the reasons why I'm confident. One thing's for sure: there's going to be goals. I cannot see a 0-0. That's definitely.
Is that a promise?
I promise you, it will not be 0-0. I'll be utterly surprised that with these dominant forward lines, it won't be 0-0.
Watch it now be 0-0, 0 XG for both teams, no shots at all, no bookings, nothing happens.
But that raises an interesting point. Would you take a 0-0 now?
No, I would not.
No. Okay.
Whale, do you think there's going to be goals in this game, or do you think it's going to be a tighter affair?
No, I don't know how many there's going to be, but there'll definitely be goals. If for any other reason, then I'm petrified of Zinchenko out there at left back. Like you say, unless we take him off in the 65th or 70th minute. As far as Arsenal goes going forward, we'll have space. Martinelli loves that. Like to think Saka's got a little bit of his mojo back after scoring a goal. If it was me and I'm Arteta, I think at least for the first half, maybe I start ESR, because as far as I'm concerned, he goes more north and south versus Havertz. Like Havertz, every time I see it, he'll make like a little sneaky run every now and again, but like Smith Rowe he's just more direct, and I'd like to see how that pans out. And if it doesn't, then I just yank him out, and I would just sub him at halftime. But I'd like to see him. I've seen a lot of what Havertz does, and yeah, I'm not that impressed. I know people will tell me, probably Tabs, oh no, but he's doing the things that you don't see, that whole thing. Yeah, whatever.
Sorry, very good reasoned argument there. Well, thank you.
Yeah, whatever.
Let's just dismiss all off the ball play, as whatever.
It's really interesting that you don't mind a 25 million player playing against Liverpool, Whale, right? You don't want to sell him for 65. You'll get rid of him for 25 million. So
his what I put his value on versus what I think his talents in respect to our team are two totally different things. There's no way we're going to get more than 25-30 million for him, but that doesn't change the fact that he's more of a direct player than Havertz.
It's also really interesting that you said about taking him off at halftime, just for two reasons. One is a huge confidence issue. Like if I do that to my players in Football Manager, they lose confidence, right? So, and Football Manager is just like real life, right? So, if I can win the league with Arsenal, then on a game, then I can do it in real life as well. It's easy, but the confidence would be shot. And the
They're
other thing
professionals.
is,
I don't care. He needs to get fucking over it. Sorry.
The other thing is. The other point I would make about that, though, is, and the point I'm trying to make is about, if you take him off after 45 minutes in a game against Liverpool, our biggest rivals, the team top of the league, you're essentially wasting a sub. You're experimenting for no reason. That's just my thoughts. But I don't want to cause an argument with you and have two people on this podcast now
In the
getting
minority of rightness, yeah, you don't want
well,
to do
yeah, pretty much. Um,
Who knows?
Paul, talk to me about how Liverpool will set up and how they'll play. I know that you mentioned earlier on to me and just before
Mm.
we came on about they're playing a lot of games recently. So do you think tiredness will be a factor?
I don't know. I think they'll be well fired up. I think they'll be fired up for this fixture. It's probably the biggest game of the season for both teams. And just harping back to how we approach this game, I don't think anything needs to change. I've been at both Liverpool games this season, and we've actually gone toe to toe, and we've played really well against them. I think the first game at Anfield, it was sort of on the grand scheme of things, on the balance of play, a draw was probably fair. I think at home in the FA Cup, I think we dominated them for the first half. Second half, they came into the game. So I don't think we need to change too much. I think we have got their number. I think if we play well, I think defensively we're going to have to be strong, obviously. Whether or not Salah's in the team, I think they've got enough firepower up top to cause trouble. So in terms of their sort of games, yeah, I mean, they're playing a lot of games. They're on a good run here. Challenging on all four fronts. And like you say, with Salah out the team, Nunes has stepped up. Jota's scoring. I saw today that potentially McAllister has picked up a little niggle, so that might rule him out for the game, which could be a big loss for Liverpool.
Okay. And whenever I watch Liverpool play or whenever I watch highlights of Liverpool playing, I just don't rate their midfield. I really don't. I think their midfield is bang average, and especially when you compare it to ours, right? So it's just really interesting how I don't know how you guys feel about that. To be honest, I don't know if I'm in the minority for that opinion, but I really just don't. I think Liverpool's squad or in midfield are
No,
like I say average.
yeah,
But what's interesting is that they're still winning games and they're still scoring goals. So Wataru Endo and Dominic Szoboszlai just they seem to be gelling together and playing well. I don't know if anyone has any opinion on that or if they
I
think I'm
know.
right or wrong.
No, I agree. I don't think their midfield is that strong. Okay, they've had made some changes. I think Endo's actually away in Asia, is he not? I'm
Yeah.
kept up to it. Yeah,
Yeah, no,
but
of course. But what I mean by that, sorry, is just like in terms of their recent performances and to get
yeah,
into the top of the league, Endo and the newer players, shall we say,
yeah.
are
No,
playing well.
no, I agree, but I think they bypass the midfield a lot, or they don't spend a lot of time with the ball in midfield. It's literally how quickly can we get the ball up to Salah, Nunez, Jota, Gakpo, whoever. The midfield are sort of there as a sort of a very sort of a conduit, but it's not like us where we play around. It's interchanging. It's this, that, and the other. So yeah, for them, they're very direct and very quick. Let's just overload. Let's just get it up front. Let's get out of front. Let's overload. Let's be running, turning defenses around, which is they hate, and that's that. So even if they have a weak midfield, I don't think, as you can see, it hasn't impacted them. It's efficient or sufficient enough for them to get the results that they need long term, if that's sustainable. But for me, if they've got a weak midfield, I don't think that impacts them too much, just because of the way they play.
They're pretty much a full strength team, though, aren't they? Apart from obviously Mo Salah being missing,
Yeah.
and we don't know. It could just be we do it right. Our social media guys do it when players are back or coming back from injury. There's always mind games being played, so you never know. We don't know when that picture could have been taken from. But in terms of obviously Trent Alexander-Arnold, he is back as well now, and
Mm-hmm.
I seen that Andy Robertson obviously was playing as well yesterday against Chelsea. So I think the only other injuries or suspensions or players away they have is obviously Simicast and Joel Matip, really. So it'll be interesting to see what a full strength Liverpool side minus potentially Mo Salah can do against a full strength Arsenal side.
Yeah, but I think, as I was saying before in the preview of it's about what we do. If we play our game right, our players are on form. I think we should take them. We're at home. We'll have the crowd behind us. Maybe we should be a bit fresher. Again, it's I think it's down to what we do as a collective, as a unit. We take advantage of things. We decisive, take our chances. Yeah, I don't know. I'm for some reason I'm overly confident. Maybe that will change come Sunday, but you know, and even just with the things like Jesus, I think had a really good game against Forest. To be honest, it encapsulated typically Jesus everything that was good and frustrating about him. So he can carry that form into this game. I think he scores quite regularly against Liverpool. So yeah, I'm all for the 3 points.
And I mentioned earlier on in part two of the podcast about Ben White and Zinchenko. So
Hmm.
talk to me about what Whale and yourself had witnessed at the Forest ground, and do you think it'll be an issue like on Sunday?
No, because these things happen all the time with players. We just don't see it. Where it's in the dressing room, locker room, on the over at Colney. Like this is this is just like young guys with a lot of testosterone going at it. So I'm not really that concerned about it. If anything, I don't know, it's probably Zinni just upset that he got done again and was looking to try to make some sort of excuse, and obviously Ben wasn't happy about it because he's seen this happen, repeat rinse a bunch of times. So going into this game coming up, it won't even be an issue. And to be honest, I doubt they're going out and having beers together anyway. They don't I don't really think that they vibe like that. So I think it's fine.
No, I agree. And actually, I saw a clip about from Henri. He was talking. Yeah, he was talking about it. And he said, "Look, the win, lose or draw, they would always be arguing, and even when they're winning, they'll be arguing because they're challenging themselves, and they are their biggest critics, each other, and the expectations are so high. Yes, I think it should be done behind the scenes. Not necessarily in the pitch, but he said emotions are high. It happens. I think Arteta brushed it off as a positive thing. So as Whale said, it happens all the time. We just don't see it, and then all of a sudden you see it. Then everyone wants to make a story out of it. But no, it won't matter. And let's see when Zinchenko sets up Ben White for the winner. They'll be hugging and kissing, no problem.
So I want to do something different at the end of kind of the Liverpool preview. I want to ask everyone their score prediction. So, and then whoever's right will be invited back on the pod. that's how we'll do it. So, Paul, score prediction.
Oh, it's a tough one. I would say there's going to be goals in this game. I think it's going to be open. Hopefully, we can put a few away. Probably 3-2. I'm going to go with 3-2.
Wow, that's bold. Andrea?
I was thinking the same. I was going 3-2, 3-1 to Arsenal. That's what I'm thinking. I don't think we can keep them out. But yeah, 3-1. I think it's go. I think, but like this, we need to score 3 goals to win this game. I think.
I'm not agreeing to the rules of this contest, but I'll call it 2-1 Arsenal.
Wow. Okay. I think I'm going to go with a 1-0 Arsenal. I'm going to go with a very cagey affair. Okay. I think we will play well, dominate, but 1-0. I'm going to even put my neck on the line and say 79th minute, Gabriel Jesus bullet header.
Love to see it.
At the back post from a Saka right foot corner that beats the first man.
Right foot corner as well.
So he's going all Santi Cazorla on us, and he's just taking his foot to take a corner. Go for it. Yeah, I'm all for that.
Speaking of right-footed players or players who play on the right, what a bad link to the next part of the pod. But transfer window, and Cedric Soares is still at Arsenal. What are your thoughts, guys, on this? And why do you think we're finding it so hard to offload certain players? And what's your thoughts on the business or the lack of business that we have done in January? Whale, I'll go with you first.
In respect to who you just named at first, you can't make a player leave. So there's that. Like, we may have had a bunch of offers for him, and if they're not willing to pay his salary and we're not willing to pay the difference, and on top of that he's like, nah, I'm not going anywhere, we've got a contract, then that's how it is. If I was him, I wouldn't go anywhere. So I don't expect him to think anything different. He's making good money. He lives in London. Just see your contract out, my friend. Like, everybody expects people in the business would like to see your contract out. So yeah, I'm an Arsenal fan, but that doesn't mean that I can't look at it from the player standpoint and be like, well, he has a contract. We shouldn't have signed it to him. everybody's not going to take a buyout. So yeah, from that standpoint, if he stays, he stays. At this point, it doesn't even matter. The market itself has been so cold that I'm not even that upset that we haven't done anything. It's not like other teams have been out there, buying, selling, trading left, right, and center. It's just like well, it might be an excuse, but the running narrative is people are scared of these new financial rules. Um, some teams probably are, some teams aren't. I mean, I've heard in the rumor mill that we're kind of close, but then I've also heard that we've got like 25, 30 million to spare. So I'm not upset that we haven't done anything. On the
Yeah.
side, no, go ahead, Tabs.
No, I was going to say on the Cedric thing, I also think why would you buy someone who's got 3 or 4 months left on his contract when you can get him in the summer? Spend money, spend 3-4 million. It's just no point. He's not a game changer. You're buying someone as a backup, and you say, well, I'll get him in the summer for free. Why would I put a fee on it? And then in terms of the rest, I think we're keeping our powder dry for the summer. I would rather we don't panic and don't buy someone for the sake of it to pad things out. I think with Tomiyasu coming back after the Asia Cup, and we got Party here. If luck, you always need luck with injuries. Our squad is fine and should be enough. Granted injury, so we're keeping our powder dry for the for the summer. There's no point just splashing cash just for the sake of it. And as well said, no one else is really improving. So there we go.
What about you, Paul?
Yeah, I think probably the opposite to that. I think Cedric probably is being kept in the squad because we've had a lot of injuries on both sides, left and right, fullbacks. And I think going into Europe, you've seen him play. He came in against Lens, I think it was, and actually give a good account of himself. And I think Arteta probably wants to keep him in the squad for the rest of the season. I think he is a decent player, and when he's come in, he's always done all right. But I think with Tomiyasu having a few different injuries, Zinni having a few knocks, I think he's really just there to sort of make the numbers up. The squad is looking a bit thin, particularly in the back line. And in terms of the lack of business, I think we're all sort of seeing the trend that January isn't the time when business is being sort of undertaken, probably due to, FFP and other factors. Potentially just, as Whale was saying, there's not much money kicking around at the moment to spend. So I think it's going to be a big summer. We look ahead to the summer now and, the transfer window's gone and we look forward.
What's interesting is I read an article earlier on today that there's 3 clubs in Turkey looking to sign Cedric, obviously whose contract runs out in summer, as you guys mentioned, and why would you? But I can just potentially see. I think that the transfer window in Turkey closes on the 9th, so it's open for another week, and I can see potentially, Cedric either cutting his contract down to get the move if he wants game time, or potentially Arsenal doing a really cut price deal. So it'll be interesting to see how that materialises. In terms of my opinion for the lack of business that we have done this transfer window, I'm with you guys. I'm not surprised. The transfer window's been very, very cold this January. I don't really think there's been any major signings at the time of recording as well. This podcast pretty late on in deadline day as well, and I've got Sky Sports News on, and there's nothing major. I mean, they're talking about Rashford scoring against against Wolves. Basically, is how busy transfer deadline day is today. So yeah, I'm not fussed. I would love to have brought in a striker, but let's just go big in summer and get another Declan Rice style player, essentially. In terms of, just to wrap up the pod, just want to do some admin.
Okay, thank you very much.
Well.
Yeah, thanks, guys.